Uh, uh, So thank you everybody for joining. Let me give a little background to why we set up this meeting. Just hold on. So what happened was, I don't know how many of you know Dr. Shan. So Dr. Shan is a master of Siddha technique, and he uses Marma to heal many, many people. And many, many people who are going to join today probably have known him for some time because of his healing power. So I was talking to him one day and I told him that I use millets. I don't use rice and wheat anymore. And the millet has done really wonders to my health. So he said, wait a minute, I use traditional ancient grains and they have great value as far as I know. Millet is also ancient grain, but others also have value. So there was a little bit of difference in opinion. So we started discussing. I said, Dr. Shan, why don't we include other people in this discussion? Because I'm sure there are more people who are interested in knowing this. So he said, okay, let's do it. So we said, we'll give it a form of a debate. It's really a friendly debate. It's more a discussion than a debate. But using the word debate probably attracts more people, I think, to join. So that's the reason we call it debate. So really, the idea is I will give my perspective of what I have learned about millets and what has it done. And then Dr. Sean will give his perspective on the ancient grains. I mean, his knowledge is very, very deep on ancient grains like rice and wheat. And then we can question and answer and see whether anything is better than the other, and both are very, very similar, what it is. So that is, and please, audience, I will say, please, if you have any opinion, any comment, any question, please feel free to put in the chat. And as if it is needed, we will open your mic and you can speak up as well. So we do want participation from the audience, and we'll limit this whole discussion to roughly 45 minutes. I know everybody's time is valuable. So with that, I would start. So let me share my my experience on millet. So I'm going to show you some my slide here. So I learned about millets several I think about roughly 4 years ago when I accidentally heard Dr. Kadarwali's talk. And this is not a talk on just the millets. Right? I have separate talks on millets. So I will just share what the millet did to me when I started about 3 years ago. So I'm 75 right now, and I had constipation right from the childhood, right? And I've tried many, many things. And most of the time I would carry a small anima equipment with me so that if I had to clean up my system, sometime I had to take enema. It won't, my motion will not happen at all sometimes.
Mm.
So then once I learned about millets and its power, that it has healthy fiber in it, I started taking it. Slowly I replaced rice and wheat with millet. And by the way, you can make anything you can make with rice or wheat, you can make with millets, and it's very delicious. And my constipation not only improved, right now it has just gone completely at the age of 75. That happening, I couldn't imagine. So that is a huge benefit. And since I became a very good fan of millets, I started telling all my family and friends. So a lot of my family members, they take millets and they have reported great benefit. And several of my friends here, I live in Florida, several of my friends, Indians and Americans, they started taking millets and they have said, oh, s- they have said they have seen several very good benefits. In fact, in one of the get together, I was sitting and one of my friends came and sat next to me. He said, "Shri, thank you for telling me about millets. I was pre-diabetic, and now after starting with millets, I've come within the limit. The A1C has come within limits." So this is the reason I have started promoting millets. And as you probably know, there are different kinds of millet. There are several millets. Let me, oh, why did it stop sharing? I want to share again. So there's different kinds of millet, and I'll just show you quickly the different kinds of millets. Not going to history of the millets. So some of you might know there's 5 different millets. And by the way, millets are full of fibers. They have proteins, they have minerals, they have vitamins, and of course, carbs. So this is a table. This is from Dr. Kadar Walli's website. You can see there's so the most important millets are the first 5: foxtail, barnyard, kodo, little, and brown top. They are full of very healthy fibers. And there's a lot of data, and if you're interested, you can watch it in Dr. Kadavali's website. The last column is the most important, where he gives the ratio of carbs to the fiber, that ratio. So amount of carb divided by the amount of fiber in a millet. And you see for the first 5 rows, foxtail, barnyard, kodo, etc., it is all less than 10. So less than 10 is the ideal number where they can provide you health benefits. You see the other grains, he's compared with the pearl millet, finger millet, proso, and then wheat and rice. That number is way higher, much, much higher. The only one that comes a little bit close is the finger millet or ragi, which is about 20.19. So, so that is the power of this millet. So this is the background of the millet that I wanted to show here, and I pass it on to Dr. Shan to tell us his take on ancient grains. So, Dr. Shan, please chime in. What?
Yes. Well, this is a very, uh, what to say, very nice topic. Basically, as you said, it's a dialogue, it's not a debate, basically. It's a conscious dialogue. Mm. So the idea of, the idea that millet should be consumed, like now we have this idea, a lot of people think that people should move from rice and wheat to millet. I think that's a very wrong idea. Um, I think some of the countries, they have staple foods like rice in China, or Thailand, India. In the south part of India, rice is staple food. Rice has been there for thousands of years, and there is reference. I used to have reference in my culinary course. I cover many of these references in including the Ayurvedic Siddha tradition. In both there are references. In the Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, Vrihi is rice. It's mentioned. So Yajur Veda, Sama Veda also mentioned. They make payasam. Payasam is a kheer, right? And Manusmriti and Dharma Shastra also mention about rice in religious festivals. For yajna, rice is used, right? Charaka and Shushruta Samhita also recognizes rice. They refer it as, in Kanjipal ailments. And in ancient Tamil literature, Purananuru, Agananuru, and other literatures, they are very, very strong on rice. There is a mention. Tirukural mentions rice. So rice is not a recent cultivation, first of all. And it's a traditionally people have, been using for thousands of years. And why change to millets? So that's the question, right? But of course, millets have been used. Um, like we lost millets, which is true. There were several millets, that were lost. We are not using millets. For example, in my culture, particularly see in Tamil Nadu, we have different parts. Like I belong to a cold region. It's the like Darjeeling. We have something called Nilgiris. Nilgiris are hills. So in cold places, usually my grandparents ate only millet. That's the staple food. So rice is known to me very recently only. So, that's a recent addition. But most of the South hot places, historically, rice only has been used. But I lost rice. I mean, I lost millets. In my, um, part of the world, I don't even have any idea about millets, right? Because all I know is white rice, right? So they had like the buckwheat was there. Many millets, ragi, same, all the kodo millet, pearl millet, porso millet, everything grows in my place. But I remember when my grandparents used to have, when I was little, I remember that, that experience will not be available for everyone who have moved to town or anywhere. I had a staple like millets were there. So that's the thing. Now the concern is whether modern involvement in the rice and wheat industry, because rice and wheat is very globally known things, it has become, unlike millets. And the moment it goes to the hands of the industrial people, what happens? They change the quality, and this responsible for many disease, including major diabetes, etc. So this has to do with the modernization. That's what I think. It's nothing to do with. There are 6,000 varieties of genetically engineered rice in India, plus 6,000 more than that. So one of the author refers. So the 1,200 rices is mentioned to be traditional rices, out of which see now one of the conference we brought 120 rices were brought in Indian conference that we did. Different kind of rice, unknown to us. Not modern people know here. Any part of the world doesn't know those kind of rice. So those rice, they say they don't need so much of water also. It grows like millet, traditional rices. The consumption of water and other thing has to do with the modernization. So that's one of the big concern. Yes, Guptaji.
So what you're saying, Dr. Shan, is it is because of the GMO culture that has spoiled rice and wheat, right? Because my understanding is that rice and wheat take a huge amount of water to grow. So wheat, you have to have constant irrigation and you have to fertilize the fields. The rice grows in water and needs a lot of fertilizer. Millet, you can throw anywhere, any season, cold or warm, and whatever the rain comes down is more than enough. It doesn't need any irrigation system. It doesn't need fertilizer. So you don't need a GMO variety for millets. So those are especially for those five millets, what they are called the Shidanya millets, the healthy millets. So they give a big advantage in current environment. So all the big harvesting of wheat and rice, it is full of irrigation and full of fertilizer, which is really spoiling our environment big time, big time.
Right,
So
right.
meanwhile, members of the audience, if you have any comments, any questions, and you want to chime in, please go ahead if you have some preference.
Yeah.
So particularly which varieties of rice? Let's take just rice, right? Because that is a very popular in along the coastal regions of India and many countries, as you were saying, China, Japan, Thailand, etc. So, are there particular varieties of rice which have full of healthy fibers and healthy
Oh yeah,
nutrition in them?
definitely. So the today, if you look at globally, People know, oh, I use black rice. I use red rice. What is black rice, red rice? How many varieties are there? There are more than 200 varieties of black rices. Shapes matter, texture matter. Many details are there in food, rice. And each rice has a different, say, for example, we make idlis. Traditionally they use a rice called Tanga Samba rices. These are called Samba varieties rice. Kar varieties, Pungar, Kullakar, all those traditional rices are there, right? Kauni rice. Kauni rice is a black rice. All these they name, different black, Karupu Kauni, Sevapu Kauni. Kauni is like another, the Maple Samba rice, Jeera Samba rice are there. Many varieties of rice are there in the south of India. They are very useful. These rices, they have, each rice have a different. See, we are what we are doing right now is we are looking everything from growing perspective. You are talking about growing agriculture field, very easy to grow all those things. But why they've used rice and different millets and everything, basically is each one has a different benefit. Their potencies are different. It's all they have to go with ancient knowledge of the nutrition theory. So, according to ancient nutrition theory, like, see, they associate it even with the planetary forces. Like, for example, rice is a moon food. So when you eat moon food, we get compassion, right? So the emotional intelligence increases. So those psychological components are there. So that's why in Vastu Shastra, all the grain, 9 grains, right? Navadanyas. In Navadanyas, rice is an important dhanya. So that means traditionally it's been there for thousands of years, right? And wheat is associated with, say, the sun. Like that, they are associating the different, like Saturn is associated with, Varagu, the Kodo millet. Jupiter associated with foxtail millet. Mars is associated with Samai. Samai is a little millet, right? And like that, every planetary they associate the millet. And also, so rice is a very good food because it is giving compassion. Remember, each planet has a different kind of psychology that gives different benefit. But eating rice makes you compassionate. Tiruvalluvar, talks about, taking one, don't even waste a grain. Rice is talking about. நெல்லுக்கு உமிழுண்டு யானைக்கு அடி சிறக்கும். It's a very ancient, we call பழமொழி, like saying, right? So நெல்லுக்கு உமிழுண்டு means நெல் means rice that has they ask, they'll poke the elephant's thing. So it is talking about this, talking about, even a small person can do big things. Don't underestimate them. So but they compare giving the grain as an example, the rice as an example of that. So this traditionally, now people talking about rice came only recently is a very wrong idea. That's one thing. And all the rices and different things need to be taken according to the potency, like heat potency. For example, I need hot food. If it's a warm, for me, millet will be good. But if it is giving too cold, you lessen the rice. Rice benefit should not be underestimated. Rice should be
Yeah.
one of the.
So, right, what you're saying, I didn't, to tell you the truth, I never knew that there was a black rice till you told me there's something called a black rice. So maybe some of those are, I would call them very rare varieties of rice. I don't know where do you buy them, because if you go to like Indian grocery store here in the US, then you see some brown rice, but I've never seen any black rice, etc. Maybe some health food store they might have it. But the big harvesting that is done is the staple food, which is the normal white rice, and it's always polished. When they polish, they take away all the surface fiber and the nutrients out of it. Same thing with wheat. That's what they do. And maybe you're right. It's the industrial machinery that is doing all the harm to these grains before we consume them. So the millet, the advantage in the millet is the fiber is not only on the surface, but throughout the grain inside. So even if you polish it, you cannot get rid of the healthy fiber in the millet. Well, rice is very easy. Now, black rice, etc., those rare varieties you're talking about, maybe they have extra fiber which is difficult to remove,
Oh yeah.
even with machinery. And that
Yeah,
can be a
yeah.
big, so that'll be very similar to
Down here
millet.
she has a lot of fibers. Mapalai Samba has a very good fiber too. So there are so many rices that has very rich fiber, compared to when you're talking about millet. So first thing is why fiber, the husk, we should have only a hand pound rice or the whole rice, whole grain, not polish. Polish is a big problem. Polish with millets also is becoming a problem. It becomes problem now. So the moment, the more they consume, industry is going to destroy. So as long as things are safe with small scale industry and people maintain locally, the moment local thing comes to like awareness, we are giving awareness of all these things, but it is dangerous if it goes to the industry lands. They're going to modify it, genetically engineered. All these genetically engineered crops only consume a lot of water because that's how it is done, and that's why all these farming systems. So the farming systems are very important. How you farm becomes a very important aspect of what contributes. And the soil, the nutrition value is contributed by the soil, not just the rice alone. So how where you're growing, if you're doing monocrop, big monocrops, it's not going to, they in the ancient knowledge, they know what need to be next to the rice, what you have to plant, like for increasing the biodiversity. So nowadays, even in India, they're not doing biodiversity in rice. Rice fields are like vast, like they're growing corn in the Western countries, right? Huge field. So you will not get biodiversity. Microorganisms are not produced. Nutrition value will be very less. We'll be eating the same rice. So in rice and all the polished things, there are 4 levels. You look at what all they do. Number one is all this rice. They put a lot of. It's a chemical agriculture, right? To grow that, we put chemicals, fertilizers. Second thing, it is before that is genetically engineered. Crops are genetically engineered. As I told, 6,000 varieties of Indian rice are genetically engineered. Things coming from Japan, China, many things are there. So the second thing I told you is the third thing is the polishing, right? Third thing is the herb, pesticides and herbicide. Like nearby herbs, they will destroy it in water. Remember, pesticides and herbicide, if you're putting in water, it's like it is there permanently. So it's a very big impact. Then on top of it, you're removing it, polishing it. So you look at the layers, removing the main part of the ash. So there are 4 layers of things happening that will destroy the health. So nobody has measured whether these 4 factors are responsible for the diabetes in India. They're saying, okay, remove rice. So those doctors saying remove the rice. Okay, use this. That's what I'm telling. Why don't you use this? Go do some research, right?
So here we have a comment from Ekta. Ekta saying black rice available in Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. That is good information. Next time I go there, I'll check it out. Maybe
I, I
try
I
it.
wouldn't I wouldn't suggest that. I wouldn't suggest that. The
No,
reason is even now black rice, all these rices, they are grown where the source is very important. The source of the
where
rice
it
is
comes
very
from,
important,
right?
where
Where
it
it
is
comes
coming
from,
from.
right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, there are rices that, see, I trained some of the students on this knowledge, and one of them, he wanted to bring the rice. He brought from India. He was selling rices, all traditional rices, but he couldn't sustain. Last year, he need to, he said, one of the stock got blocked. I couldn't sustain that. So there's a challenge here. Rice is available. Challenges are there. So now I talk to my local person. I ask him, India, these many rices are there. Can you bring some of them? He's trying to bring 1 or 2 rices. Like he brought some Jeera Samba rice. Some rices are available. Maple Sama in some of the Indian store also. Some rices are available. It's not popular like that. Lot of people need to buy our traditional. Not even the Tamil tradition people who use in the south. Lot of rices. We consume a lot of rices in the south, not just the Tamil, Telugu, and Kerala, but they don't know the name of the rice. The only place like Sri Lanka and Kerala are little okay in terms of rice use. They use some traditional rice as it is. In Tamil Nadu and all, completely it's white rice only. If you look at any restaurant, they give white rice only. Now only some awareness has come. Some people bring traditional rices. So there is a challenge here to buy these things immediately, but there is a solution. If some industrialists come up with like conscious industrialists come, then everybody can get a good food. So
So there's a couple of questions here. One from Pablo. He's asking, I mean, he's saying he also had constipation, and maybe, I mean, he's tried millet, but it hasn't worked for him. Maybe he's not taking the right way. So Pablo, we can have a separate offline discussion on it. What is the right way? What I can share my experience with you, and you can try it.
yeah.
Uh, and
Well,
by all means,
another thing
maybe
I
try
want to,
the black rice as well, a good quality.
yeah,
And
Okay.
second thing, Ika is saying, what is the solution to all of this, right?
right. No, I
Getting
coming to
the right quality of grain.
right. So Pablo's thing, it could be possible. See, the constipation has to do with many factors. Why things work for you? Why not for Pablo? Because of his body type, certain body type, and also the samana vayu. Like if you don't have the vayu, for example, that particular element or component in you to digest, no matter what you eat, the constipation will be there. So you need to do some detox methods, right? And detox methods, like for example, you can take some haritaki. Haritaki is another H I can put here. Haritaki.
I can
So
offline
these
also, I
are
can
some
tell
things,
Pablo how to acquire it, Haritaki.
Haritaki. Haritaki, you can get it here also. It's available now. It's become like a very global, like Triphala Churna. Triphala is another thing used. Triphala is very famous here in the United States. Triphala. So these are some things to the, or you can take a castor oil, like 1 teaspoon of castor oil, and after 10 minutes drink some hot water, right? Castor oil, edible castor oil, not the one that we get here. There is edible castor oil is a different thing. Here, castor oil is not edible. So these are examples of things that you need to do detox. After to the detox, then you can try little millet. Are you taking like the millet with the grain, whole grain? If you're, or it's polished, all these things matter. What kind of millet? Millet, you cannot say that every millet is you will be the same. What Gupta ji millet, what millet he is using, maybe you are not using that millet, right? Some people classify quinoa as a millet, right? Not necessarily. Quinoa is another kind of, you know, grain possible. So that's why I mean, like you have to look at what is needed for you. You have to do like a trial and error, and then once you get that, this is the food that I like. It's easily digestible. So yeah, that's something to
Okay.
think about.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was different types of millets. I mean,
Oh yeah, there's a lot of millets. I have like see there is a Kodo millet, foxtail millet, little millet, barnyard millet.
oh yeah,
We have
Millet,
proso
finger
millet,
millet.
pearl millet, sorghum,
I
finger
bought
millet.
I bought them all,
Amaranth.
but I mean, are there good millets, good kodo, and versus bad kodo, or no? No, because I bought the one you
Which
recommend.
one? Which one?
Well, we will have a separate discussion, Pablo,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on the right way to eat it. And there is a WhatsApp group which is based on millet. I'll send you the link. I think some members of the group might be here today.
Oh, good.
They also discuss this. It's based in the US.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That
Yeah, that
one.
would be nice.
Yeah. Be good to join that WhatsApp group, the millet one. Yeah.
Mm.
So, so really, I think Ekta is asking, what is the solution to all these issues, right? The industrial machinery is destroying the quality of the grains that we eat. The grains, as were created by the divinity, by God, they had wonderful nutrition properties. But with these pesticides, with these herbicides, with these polishing, they are just destroying everything. Right? So, what is the solution? Somehow we have to look after our own health, right? Our own bodies. We don't want to. Our body is not a garbage can where we can throw all the garbage in it. So, how to get the good quality grains for our consumption? So, I think that is such an important question.
Yeah. So,
And if anybody in the members audience has any suggestions, please unmute yourself and please chime in. We'd
so
like to hear your suggestions as well.
yeah. So my few cents for that is first one, you have to avoid any engineering, genetically engineered food. You have to look it's a non-GMO. It should be organic, right? These two things. Like if you're organic, it includes non-GMO. So you have to know that it is organic in the United States. I don't know how it works in other parts of the world. If it is organic, it's automatically non-GMO. It's not genetically engineered. Okay, that's one thing, right? But organic can have, they do organic polishing also. Polishing need not be there are like they use hydrogen peroxide, for example, right? For polishing, it's organic chemistry. So all organic chemistry could be part of an organic label, and that will not like see, if you are eating naturally, our body is used to eating the natural way. And if you're removing the husk, you will remove, the polishing. It may not be a good, it may not go into your body the right way. The body will not, will get confused. Can you please unmute, mute Saravana Bhavana, please? Sorry, we can hear you. Okay. So that's the, um, so that's the thing, So first thing is, what is, how we solve this problem? We have to identify, because the industry is not going to solve the problem immediately. Government need to take some actions. Yeah, for example, Sikkim is a Bhutan. Bhutan is a classical example. Bhutan did not allow any genetically engineered or chemicals inside the country. What a beauty. So Sikkim is one of the states in India. It is completely organic, right? They follow only organic. Like that, governments need to take actions. We have to put a proposal. There will be, people will not like it, because industry need to, polishing industry need to close. Many challenges, agriculture industry need to close. So there will be lobbying there. And that's how governments are running, right? Major countries, right? But we have real challenges, but we have limited versions available. We have to look, do research, and find the right thing. And also, do not, I no more rely on even labels now. Many of the things. So only through known people, known contacts. We know, okay, this is rice, this is the person is growing well, I can trust on him, I'll buy that. So that's how it is going right now. But we need a long-term solution. Yes. It's not immediately available.
Yeah, it will be an uphill battle fighting all these huge corporations which are minting money out of fertilizers and GMO grains, etc.
Yeah.
So I remember I was at one time in one flight, there was a gentleman sitting next to me, and he was in the United Nations, and he was chief of agriculture in United Nations of 57 countries in a lot of Africa and Asia. And some of these countries, they had terrible famines because they couldn't grow crops. So you're saying then we created these GMO crops and they could grow there. and the people had food to eat after they grew it. So that is what I don't know how true and how what it was, but
Yeah, yeah.
he said that was a uphill
No.
battle.
That's a very wrong idea, Gupta ji. So what happened basically? See, they was doing animal farming. For animal farming only, this wheat, corn, and all were used mostly for animal feeding the animal. So right. So when the oats also like that, it was fed. So animal farming when they did at certain point, because animal consume lot of grains, right? And so they had to produce whatever they were doing naturally was not enough. So they tried to find a genetically engineer. That's the time engineering happened. And then like there was so much growth beyond their control. Then they asked, what do we do with these grains? Then they said, this is a good idea. Now there are some countries like Somalia, Bangladesh, India, they have all drought. If you bring them to the, this time, we can give them in the name of green revolution. Then they get used to that. So they worked with the government people, get into the ration shops, everything. And then later on, what they put the cost. So because this was excess, they gave as food and later on created that as a business. And that is because when it went to the ration shop, people started to buy and they got used to in the north, big time in Delhi and all, from there it expanded. So a lot of people, instead of be getting their traditional food, they got cheaper food, free food from the Asian shop, the government. So they started consuming this, got used to that food, and lost their ancient grains. It just destroyed the, our ancient grains. So this is what happened. So the green revolution, the greed is not a good idea. It's not like compassionate thing. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. So I see somebody raising a hand, right? Is it Geeta Gupta? You raising a hand? You have to unmute yourself. You want to say something?
Yeah. Geeta
You're
ji,
trying to say something, Geeta ji, but you have to unmute yourself. You're muted.
बताइए हिंदी में.
हाँ
There you
हेलो
Yes.
नमस्कार. वो
नमस्कार.
गेन अच्छा है, ऑर्गेनाइज वो पेस्टिसाइड नहीं है, कैसे मालूम पड़ेगा?
So the question is this grain good and doesn't have pesticide in it? That's the question she's asking. How do we know that this is free from pesticide? Yeah, Dr. Shan, go ahead.
Oh, and this is a challenging question for in India, especially. In India, even organic is, whether can I believe in organic? I don't. The reason is, when they say organic, I would talk to that person and I will tell whether that person is following or not. I would know. If he's not conscious, he's not organic. He may have a label, but I will talk to them for a few minutes. I'll know whether this person will not do an organic business. But in the United States, when they say organic, those they have some way of determining this is organic. Certification ways you can believe, but overall it's not a valuable thing. So what has to happen? Like we need a stronger certification system in India to carry out, right? But India is organic in many ways. You don't even have to know certain things organic. You can, certain people grow that organically only. So if you look 20 years back, even 20 years back, many things were grown organically. So now there are people only through word of mouth. Ask people, some people who can traditionally, they are aware. For example, Nammalwar is you know Nammalwar. Nammalwar is a South Indian, sage scientist, right? She talked about, bringing our ancient crops, organically prepared, organic garden, everything. So those organizations, there are many organizations like that. They sell organic product. We can trust them because they propagate that knowledge, not just for business. If you're taking it for business, those people will not do the right business. It's not conscious inside that. But for this, you rely on those organizations. There are many, many ERK, there are other maybe 2, 3 organizations. I forgot the names of that. Like that, the awareness is big in South India after Nammalwar came. Like that, there are other places. Some people are coming up. Like the millet Guruji and all. So they might be conscious about this. So
हाँ, तो गीता जी समझ में आया ना आपको? दिस इज व्हाट इज सेइंग कि आपको आसपास पूछ के पता लगा के, डिपेंडिंग कहाँ रहते हैं, पता लगा के पूछ कर कि कौन सही कह रहा है, उससे ही मालूम पड़ सकता है। बाकी कोई, कम से कम आप इंडिया में है ना?
जी, हम बैंगलोर में रहते हैं।
हाँ, तो वहाँ तो मतलब रिलायबल नहीं है ऐसा ना, इस सब चीजों का कहना। तो बेंगलोर में पता लगाना पड़ेगा ग्रुप से ना, कौन सा रिलायबल है, हु कैन ट्रस्ट।
कि ये ऑर्गेनिक दे रहा है, ऑर्गेनिक फूड डाला हुआ है, लेकिन पता नहीं चलता है ना, कैसे देख के कैसे मालूम कर सकते हैं ये ऑर्गेनिक है?
देख कर नहीं मालूम पड़ेगा।
वही
By looking, you cannot say. It has to be from the origin. पता लगाना
Okay.
पड़ेगा। Yeah.
कुछ पता
It's a
आप
good question.
जानते हैं डॉक्टर शान, तो
हाँ।
बताइएगा।
हाँ, मैं बताता हूँ आपका बाद में।
आप
ठीक है,
हाँ डाल दीजिएगा।
हाँ, ऑफलाइन आप
ऑफलाइन।
ओके
आप
ओके।
इसमें व्हाट्सएप डालिए मैसेज, गिव अ व्हाट्सएप मैसेज एंड he will give you some contact. He's from Tamil Nadu, which is next to Bangalore. He can give you some
ओके
contact.
हाँ ओके, थैंक यू सर।
धन्यवाद।
Okay.
हाँ धन्यवाद।
Anybody else? Any questions, discussions? So Dr. Shan, what is the long-term impact? So that's what I've heard is there have been no studies on the long-term impact of GMO crops. So people think it is bad because it's something new,
No,
but there has never been a long-term study.
right. No, now this year, beginning of this year, the American Pediatrics Association has banned the GMO plan. Thing. They said GMO, genetically engineered, is causing the disease in the kids. They announced. Okay, this is not known by today. Also, if you go to India, the doctors are not updated on this. If there's a pediatrician, they will not say, hey, don't eat these crops. So for even kids, if it is affecting, think about it, right? So it is definitely harmful. Now the science is coming, in that area. They're trying to prove that, but I don't know how it is. Science involves politics also now, you know. So things keep changing.
Yes,
Yeah.
unfortunate. Even in the US, they have not publicized the fact that the Pediatrics Association has banned
Exactly.
GMO, right? But they don't publicize. The media doesn't mention it. Doesn't say
Yeah.
that.
I
They
can
don't,
send you the
because
link.
there's so
I
much
can
money in
send that.
GMO.
I can share the link, on that.
Yeah, I
I
think that'll be
shared in
good
my.
if you can share.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think people have to know these things. This is very important.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. This is the first time I'm hearing that this has been banned. So that means they have done some studies which prove to them, because otherwise they will not ban it. So it's good to have those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, if we want to conclude here, that all the millets are good. I mean, Dr. Kadirwali has made them popular and it is growing. People are benefiting. But we cannot discount the other ancient grains.
Right.
If they have the right kind, the right variety,
Uh-huh.
then they can be equally beneficial, right?
Oh yeah.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not,
Because
you
in
cannot
wheat
discount
also there are
because,
like. Mhm.
yeah. So I think we
Right,
should
right.
see what is right for our own body. We try them out, try for our own bodies, but make sure we get not the highly industrialized version of these grains,
Mhm.
but the right way, the varieties that are grown the right way, the correct way, the
Right.
traditional way. So
Exactly.
that is the most important. Even the millets, if they start GMO on the millets, and they start putting pesticide and all this nonsense in the millets also, they'll go the same way, right? They'll become useless. Right now, they haven't done that yet because the
Exactly.
volume is still small, probably.
Yeah, that can happen. That can happen soon too. Quinoa is going to happen. They want to engineer, and many things will happen soon. So we need to be very careful. Before that, we have to bring the awareness of the genetically engineered food, the side effects or permanent effects of it. Right. Similarly, wheat only came through this crop. So, but we have traditional wheat. Wheat also, like rice, has been used for historically, has been used from in the Indus Valley civilization. They've used the Meghra Vedic period between 1500, 500 BC. They have reference to the wheat, and it's a very important food. And wheat, there are like kamut wheat, there are other wheats, like durum red wife, so sonorum wheat, then here we call einkorn or emmer wheat, einkorn wheat. They all are good wheat, spelt wheat, so in the United States we can buy those wheats are available. Like one of the company, Red Mill, they sell these kind of things. Like many other companies maybe there, but even in the corporate, like Traders Joe or whole wheat segments and all, they sell some of this, right? So we have to go for that kind of wheat, and then we'll be fine, I think.
So I think our time is up. I think I want to wrap this up. And before we leave, I just want to mention, because Dr. Shan also teaches some courses on the Siddha tradition. That's where he has learned all these properties of ancient grains. So he's teaching a class on the introductory Marma technique. So the second session is tomorrow, and there's still time for people to join. And we keep having these kind of webinars and seminars. So he leads discussion sessions every Tuesday and Thursday, and there's another associate who has on Wednesday meditation session. So we keep, and plus he has workshops on using, for example, how to heal your dental problems. A lot of those work very effectively using the Marma techniques. So if you need more information, please keep in touch with us. Join our community.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
a question.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so just like you mentioned how it helps physically with your constipation and all that, how does millet help with the mental health, with like Alzheimer's or dementia? Does it help?
This is a very good question. I am not aware of it. It could, but maybe somebody in the audience, if they have any experience in that regard, the mental health and millets.
Well, I can give some idea about how they look at the connection between mental and millet. For example, you can increase your mercury. Every millet is connected to a different kind of planet. Every planet is associated with some mental quality, right? So for example, mercury is governing our communication skills. It gives mental clarity, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then
Buddha, yeah.
if you use prosa millet, pani varag, so
Mm-hmm.
then it'll help that. So for mental well-being, even the pearl millet, rice, they are also good for mental being. It's mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the rice is a very good food for mental health, actually, right? So the depend, we millets are good. We have to take, looking at like what Ektaji is, how it answers also. Ektaji's question is depending on where you are. See, I am from a Nilgiris where I was born. My grandparents use millets only. That's our staple food. So for me, why it is grown there? Because of the weather. Millet is a warm food potential. Whereas if I go to Coimbatore and all the plains, it's a hot potential there. The weather is hot, so they use cold potential there. Rice is a cold potential. It's a moon food, cooling food, right?
Yes. Okay.
If in the north, if you take, more of a millet and wheat, because wheat is a hot potency food.
Hmm.
So you have to use the local grain only, like where you are grown, that only you need to take. Now we have moved, migrations happen, so we really don't know what we are going to eat and how, locally we cannot connect those things very easily,
Right.
So many Corso millets also known for cognition functions and neurological health. So we have a millet review paper, full review paper. We'll share with you.
Okay. And
Yeah.
also, I'm interested in the millet, which is associated with the graha, like you mentioned, Jupiter and all that. If you can share that, I'm interested in that.
Oh yeah. See, my culinary course, I cover all these things in my culinary course.
Oh,
I have a
okay.
Siddha culinary
So,
course. Okay.
Dipali, I'll suggest connect with our community, send us a text or WhatsApp message. We'll connect you and we can give you all these references.
Okay. How do
Yeah.
I connect with that? Because I'm in the sustainability. I got this Zoom invite from the sustainability group. So,
Yeah, send it to me. Shri
okay.
Gupta, I'm in
We
that
can
group as
share
well,
now.
right?
No,
I
you
put,
can share.
Okay.
Anjali,
Okay.
I share the link.
yeah,
I'll share it. Give me a second.
Yes. Thank you.
So
yeah.
you people who have not joined, you can join all this.
And Ekta ji, another thing I can mention, for example, foxtail millet. So Florida grows a lot of foxtail millet, but it is traditionally is only used as bird seed, not for human consumption. So the US, different areas, they grow millet for bird seeds. But you're right. I mean, the local thing should be eaten. But millets can grow in Rajasthan, in desert. I mean, millet is a staple food in Rajasthan. If you go to Rajasthan, they all locals, they all eat millet, bajra. It's very popular because it just grows. It doesn't need much rain. But millet will grow anywhere. There's a lot of rain in Florida and it grows here. So millet, sometimes we don't know, and sometimes you really have to grow because people have stopped growing them in their own region because of industrialization. But I mean, these are very good questions, I think.
Yeah.
So I think I will end this. If you have come through sustainable WhatsApp group, I am in the group. I am the one who put the message about this talk in the group.
Mm-hmm.
So please
Okay.
feel free to contact me, and whatever information you need, we can send it to
Yeah.
you.
We'll share the link separately. I couldn't find
Okay.
get the link right now, but
It's okay, if
Anjali,
Dipali, whoever, right? If you send it to me, and I'll
Okay.
send it to
Sure. Thanks.
you. I'll make sure Dr. Shan sends you the information that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So with
okay.
that, thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining, and hope to see you in our future webinars. And
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow.